Malik Mustapha played
He's
a
awesome.
bunch of snaps last week. He played a full complement.
Yes, he did.
Can he play the deep middle? Can he play the deep coverage spot, whether it be man or zone? Can he be a true free safety? Because it seems like Brown and Hufanga really, like Hufanga's a strong safety.
Yes, Hufanga's a Sam linebacker, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's a box player. And Jair Brown is only slightly better in coverage. I think they're both box players.
Agreed.
And Mustapha can definitely hit like a box player, but can he cover? Yeah, and that's the question I would have. Do you think Mustapha can cover well enough to play free safety in this defense?
I have not gotten that impression yet. Now, Dieter and Hutch podcast, we're big Malik Mustapha guys because Hutch identified Malik Mustapha last January as his second favorite safety in the class behind Ballard from Georgia, who is starting, I believe, for the Packers and looks awesome. He's a really good player. And we just loved the Mustapha tape we saw. But we've always seen him as a strong safety in the realm of a Talanoa Hufanga, somebody who maybe not as big, clearly not as big, but somebody who you just want in the mix, making stuff happen, particularly in the run game. I don't see the foot speed. I don't see the instinctual play necessary to play, particularly as a cover 3 or a single high safety in a system that still does a lot of cover 3. Now, the 49ers defense is adapting. They're blitzing more, and they are doing more cover 2 stuff. So that gives you a little bit of wiggle room. But I would say that this team does not currently have a true free safety on its roster. And as the trade deadline, I know that, we just flipped over into October, but the trade deadline's at the end of the month. I think that's something this team really needs to look at because, as Armando points out accurately, I think they have 4 strong safeties with Odom in the mix if they had to throw them back in there. They have 4 strong safeties. And safeties are destiny in this league, and there's always going to be one guy back. You're not going cover 0 as a defensive principle. So I think you can get by on more cover 2 stuff, less space to cover, but I don't see it, and I'm pretty concerned about it. I'm legitimately concerned about it. I want to see more Mustapha. I guess if you had to throw somebody back there as the free safety, Jair Brown is the guy to do it, but that does not inspire confidence in me. I think that if this team, of all the places that they probably would want to add somebody, I would say going out and getting a bona fide free safety should be at the top of their list because they don't have one.
I think it should be on the list. At the top,
what's number 1 for you?
We'll see. It's always going to be pass rush, just because I think that you can get by with the DBs they have if they have better pass rush. And I don't know that there's a safety out there that can cover that they could get. But if there was, I mean, I'd be interested in that.
Well, I'll throw you a name right now. And I talked about this the other day, and I'm going to explore it more. Derwin James from the Chargers. Now, you might go, well, the Chargers are playing good football, and Derwin James are really good. Derwin James is definitely getting cut at the end of the year. There's certain salary cap manifestation. Like, he's getting cut. He's also been injured a bunch. And
what's his position?
I mean, I still view him,
really, isn't he?
No, I still view him as a free. He's in everything. There's nothing that Derwin James can't do, at least in my eyes. Now, we can have differing opinions on that, but I would have no problem whatsoever with him patrolling the middle of the field in the cover 3. Whatsoever.
He's a bit. I think he's better in the box. I think he can do it all, but I think he's better in the box. I mean,
shit. I'll tell you who I'd really want. I'd want either of those safeties from the Patriots, but they're not giving them up because they're the Patriots and they're smart enough not to give them up.
Who signed Darnell Savage?
Ooh, who did sign Darnell Savage?
Because he left Green Bay, and
did he go to Tennessee?
That's the player they need. That's the piece they need. They need somebody who can cover.
I think
they got to have a safety who can cover.
Let me look it up real fast because Darnell Savage would be a good option there.
I feel like he's on a team the Niners have already played in the preseason or in the regular season. I feel like we've seen him already.
Yeah. Well, there's only one way to find out. It's to go onto the internet, Larry. Darnell Savage. I mean, great player for the Packers. The Packers.
Where is he? Houston? Tennessee?
Darnell Savage is for the Jacksonville Jaguars, so he very much might be available, Larry. They are quite bad.
Yeah.
a good
So
call.
that's what I'm saying. A team like Jacksonville, that might be the guy to go knock on their door. I do think another coverage player would help you, but I'll say this now that they've discovered Sam O and he's playing well.
He's been great.
They do have Kalia Davis coming back too, and Kalia Davis, I expect to do some good things, and unless he gets hurt again, which definitely could happen.
No doubt.
I got to ask you this one.
Mhm.
The Niners are a team that prides itself on we don't blitz, we just rush our front four and we get it done with our front four.
Yeah.
And that's the plan. But your plan changes when your cask erodes. And basically their blitz rate has gone from 9% against the Jets, 12% against the Vikings, 20% against the Rams, 33% against the Patriots. And now I'm looking at Kyler's numbers. Kyler struggles both in completion percentage and yards per attempt against pressure. More so than when he doesn't have pressure. Some people would say, "Oh, well, of course," but that's not the way it always works. Sometimes pressure means defined reads. Sometimes defined reads, will help a quarterback who has struggles to go through progressions actually go through them. So, I guess the question is Sorensen's, plan post Hargrave to blitz, is it sustainable, or do you think it catches up with them?
I think it's sustainable if you trust your corners and you're willing to leave them on islands and you're willing to play more zone behind it. So you're doing fire blitzes. I don't see it as an inherent problem. And I think in particular, it's necessary to help stop the run and to start dictating some terms with opposing offenses. I think that's something that's kind of flown under the radar. These guys have had a lot of time in the pocket, and not every quarterback can do a lot with that. But the ones who can, and the ones who have good coaches scheming stuff up, have burned them. I mean, Sam Darnold being the best example. This week's going to tell us kind of everything we need to know. Arizona Cardinals are a great team on script. They're a terrible team off script, which seems counterintuitive when you have Kyler Murray. But he can still make plays, obviously, with his feet and pushing the ball downfield. We're going to see if Mooney Ward wants to up his game. If Mooney Ward wants to up his game and get back to the level he was playing at last year, I'd feel a lot more comfortable about them bringing somebody else. If he doesn't, now you are vulnerable at the front and the back end because we just talked about the safeties. Like, it's not as if there's coverage there for those guys. So I think we're going to find out here pretty fast. I will say that it helps a lot when you have guys who are now setting the edge for the first time in a year and a half. Samo set the edge consistently against the Patriots. Not the hardest thing to do, probably the worst offensive line in the league. So, again, and the Cardinals aren't much better. But Samo, 19 snaps. If he missed an edge, I missed it. I thought Leonard Floyd, and I talked to Nick Bosa on the side, he mentioned this to me where he's like, I think that Leonard figured it out this past week. And figuring it out means, hey, you're getting stood up on every single rush. Stop. Not stop getting stood up. Just stop moving. You're getting stood up. Instead of getting pushed back, hold the line. Set the edge. Passive setting the edge is still setting the edge. And in that, the ball is going to come your way because Nick Bosa is coming from the other side, and everything's going to go away from Nick Bosa. And then I thought Yetur Gross-Matos had a solid game and is big enough to where you can consistently expect him to set that edge. When you have that containment, again, that gives you opportunities to blitz better, and it gives your secondary a better chance of being in a good position to make a play. So the front end and the back end, everything's got to be in line. This is not rocket science. This all sounds pretty cliche as I hear myself speaking here. But I need to see more from the secondary before I'm convinced that blitzing is a viable option. But if it's there, I do think it is.